Good.
Welcome into another edition of Press Box Live, and I am Stan the Fan, along with the old left-hander Ross Grimsley, and the managing editor of Press Box at PressBoxOnline.com. That is Luke Jackson. We are here on a Tuesday. We normally do these on Mondays, but the last 2 weeks we've had different situations. One was the holiday, and the other was having to go to a doctor's appointment. So we're here on a Tuesday to talk some Orioles baseball, and we're brought to you by the Costas Inn. Two great locations, and I'll talk more about those two great locations and Rick Dempsey in just a second because he's going to be at one of the locations. But I had him on the show on Friday, and Rick spent great time talking about how he was going to be at North Point Boulevard when it turns out he is actually going to be at Timonium this Wednesday, the
Well,
third.
I've certainly never confused a couple of crab joints before.
Yeah,
That's never happened to me. If you
never
if
happened.
you if you two recall that a couple years ago.
Well, if you're a paid promoter, though, you're getting paid a fee.
Right.
I've never
Right.
been paid a fee to come and eat.
That's true. You know what?
Uh,
That's absolutely true.
anyway, I wanted to make the point that Rick Dempsey will be from 6 to 8, approximately 6 to 8 this Wednesday. That's tomorrow night, the third, at Timonium Costas Inn. But they're two great locations. We'll talk about them during the ad. North Point Boulevard, where you can get your steamed crabs and the rest of the great menu. Timonium above the grandstand, right next to the OTB. We're also brought to you by WarnkenLaw.com. Byron Warnken and his team are simply the best you can get in Baltimore and the state of Maryland. If you've been injured in an accident, 443 results or warnkenlaw.com, WARNKEN.com. Guys, as we hit the airwaves this week, we can say something that hasn't been able to be said this year about the Orioles, that they're playing some fairly decent baseball. They are 7-3 in their last 10 games. And Luke, mostly fueled by the starting pitching, which has begun to resemble a major league quality rotation.
Correct. And I think that starts with Kyle Bradish pitching like 23 Kyle Bradish. I mean, he's been tremendous.
Yeah.
He's upped the usage of his curveball, which has been terrific. And that sinker is darting down and away to lefties, down and into righties. He's got two breaking balls darting each direction. I mean, really, really special stuff from him. And then I'll tell you what, the other big deal for the Orioles is that they've got Brandon Young punching above his weight. This is an undrafted guy who I think all but one time this year has given them a chance to win in his starts. That's a big deal for them.
Yeah.
And
It's been a
and
long time since they've developed one of their own into uh, just a useful major league starting
right,
pitcher.
right. And he's filling in for Zach Eflin. He's filling in for Dean Kramer. He's done a really nice job. It seems like Bassett is starting to stabilize as well. It seems like Boz is getting better. We'll see how that ages tonight. Obviously, he goes against the Red Sox. But yeah, I mean, if you want to go on a run of 7 of 10, 8 of 10, you need really good starting pitching to keep you in those games. Like we were saying before we came on the air, in a 10 game stretch, you might be able to win one of those games 11-9. But typically, you're going to need starting pitching to keep your offense in the game, number one, and set up your bullpen. And I think earlier in the year, their starters probably weren't getting deep enough. And this time on this homestand, they got deeper in the game. They went 7-3. How about that, Ross?
No, you're right. The starting pitching, we talked about that earlier. If they ever got it going, you're going to save your bullpen. You're not going to wear them out. And that has been the problem last year and then at the beginning of this year. But the starting pitching has been really fantastic. Even Rogers, he threw 6 innings, put up zeros. I think he should have got out of the game at that point in
I
time.
thought, and to his credit, manager Craig Alvarez admitted it after the
Yeah.
game in his post game interview. He said I
No.
probably kept him in the game too long. There was no
Well,
probable about it. He did.
yeah, you get him out with a good taste in his mouth.
Yeah.
He put up some zeros. He hadn't done that since the beginning of the season. Once this guy gets it going, and you got, like I said, you get three of the five starters going uh, pretty well. Then that saves your bullpen, and we'll see what they do. 7 out of 10, 4 out of the last six. So that's a big bonus.
Ross, one thing about Bradish, when he was really good in 23, I remember his curveball was effective, but he wasn't using it as much as he is now. Would you say that now is the time for him to to change a little bit? In other words, our team's going to get hip to the fact he's thrown a curveball, and not a lot of them are strikes. They're just deceptive. Does he have to mix in more fastballs now?
Well, he has to obviously getting ahead in the count, and
That's the key. Yeah.
they'll chase those pitches, and this is what these guys have been doing. They've been making quality pitches to get ahead, and then get them to chase the off speed pitch. That's what the whole deal is with the curveball. And as far as changing, you throw good breaking balls, hitters aren't going to hit them as often. They're going to hit the bad ones. They're going to hit the fastball center cut of the plate. But you get ahead in the count, and the way hitters swing now, they're swinging for the fences. They're going to chase bad pitches, and we've seen that every day. But this is more what these guys are doing now. They're getting ahead in the count. They're making quality pitches. They're getting them to chase balls out of the zone because they got to protect the plate, and it's been fun to watch.
I know we've used that adage that your momentum is only as good as tomorrow's starting pitcher. And right now, Ross, those starting pitchers have collectively been stringing together a couple good starts, which is got to bode well for the near future right
Well,
now.
you get 4 or 5 guys throwing the ball well and doing what they did, you win 7 out of 10. And that's will that happen all year? No, but you take advantage of what you can. And you know what's also impressive is the guys hitting. They're starting to hit the ball. Basayo started hitting the ball the other way. Gunnar hit some balls the other way.
Bowser's even been tallywhacking the
No,
ball.
really, yeah. I mean, they're starting. They start doing that, and that kind of takes away from what the pitchers on the opposing pitchers can do. They go, now I gotta really mix it up and come inside. Most guys that pitch inside, most times they're balls, but the ball out over the plate, the guys looking for it the other way, and it's been fun to watch and doing the things they're doing. I mean, there's a reason why they're winning like they're winning now.
And in terms of the offense, Stan mentioned this to me over the weekend. Having Holiday back really lengthens out the lineup. And when he's hitting the ball hard from line to line, you can really tell what the Orioles missed in the first 6, 7 weeks of the season.
And he runs. He can steal
Yep.
some bases.
Yep.
So that's
Adds
a
a little
big
different
thing.
dimension.
Yeah, I
He's
mean
a good
they
ball
can't.
player.
I mean you get a little speed in the lineup, and that changes a few things. So
Interesting to me, obviously Jeremiah Jackson isn't going to play as much now that Holiday's back, but interesting to me that he played right field on Saturday, meaning Jeremiah Jackson.
yeah.
And could that be taking a look at whether he can take those Tyler O'Neill at bats at some point? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, he's got a hit, but it's interesting that Tyler O'Neill is in the lineup tonight. Let's run down that lineup tonight for the Orioles. Left field leading off Taylor Ward, Gunnar Henderson at short, Adley Rutschman is catching, Alonso at first base, Basayo DHing against a left-hander, which is interesting. Mayo at third base, Tyler O'Neill in right field, Tavares in center, and Blaze Alexander tonight playing second base against a tough left-hander in Connolly early.
I'm glad to see Basayo hitting against a left-hander.
Yeah, I am too.
I think, and you're gonna get Holiday is gonna. These guys are gonna be in the lineup a lot more often, left or right. It makes no difference. And the way the guys are going to get better hitting all the left-handers is hitting all the
Hitting against
left-handers.
left-handers. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Interesting that Kowser is he's playing Basayo, but that he's choosing to give O'Neill. Is it fair to say, Luke, this may be one last chance? They got a couple left-handers in this series. I mean, push has got to come to shove
Yeah,
somewhere.
the Orioles have to win games. And to your point, and I don't know whether that means releasing him or just burying him on the bench. But obviously, you can't keep running out a guy who's hitting what, a buck 60 or whatever he's hit. Like at some point, you got to produce.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's hitting stinging line drives to outfielders all season. Like
No.
he's just, it's just been a nothing. He's just been a zero for pretty much
Well,
all the
when's he going to get hurt? That'll take care of it.
Well, that's mean, Ross. So
Well,
mean.
Nobody,
well, when's he
nobody
going to get
wishes for
hurt?
an
He's going to get
injury.
hurt, and then you put him on
I
the
never
IL,
heard that
DL,
before.
whatever the hell it's called.
Tyler, by the way, that was Ross Grimsley that said that.
Yeah. Well, he does. He gets hurt every year, it seems like.
Well, he does. He has.
Unfortunately, this
To that point, I think he's got 16 IL stints to his name now, or 17, whatever it is, for his career. They paid him 16, 17 million dollars a year. Like that's to be like your everyday right fielder. And he came in with 13 IL stints in the first 6, 7 years of his career, which should have eliminated that thought process of him being an everyday right fielder. That alone, like obviously, I mean, if you're paying him 16, 17 million a year, that's what you're paying him to do, to be an everyday right fielder. So,
But the times that he did play in the past, he hit 30 plus home runs, I believe, didn't
well,
he?
yeah, the 2 seasons where he played a lot, he had
hit
really
30
good.
plus home runs.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
21 and 24.
Right. With
And do you
the
remember
Cardinals
what
and the
was
Red Sox.
the really good looking outfield that the Cardinals had in 21? It was Tyler O'Neill, I think it was Harrison Bader and Dylan Carlson, right? Was that the
They
outfield?
had Carlson, and prior to that, they had Grichuk and they
Oscar
had
Martinez, right?
no, they had Grichuk and the one who ended up with the A's, whose mom passed away from Alzheimer's. I can't remember his name.
But I mean, they had a lot of really good outfielders and like a three,
They
four.
had Randy Rosarino
Yeah, and
6 years
they
ago.
never panned out for St. Louis, really.
Yeah,
Outside of that one really good season for Carlson, Bader, and
yeah,
O'Neill. So
yeah. It's been very unfortunate, but Tyler O'Neill with the Orioles facing a couple left-handers in this series, these next 2 nights, maybe Tyler O'Neill's maybe his kind of last chance to try and put some decent at
well,
bats
yeah, and at
together
some
for the
point Dylan
Orioles.
Beavers is going to come back. I don't know when that is, and I don't know if all the outfielders are going to be healthy by the time that rolls around. But that's why I brought up Jeremiah Jackson, a right-handed hitting
Right. It was
guy
interesting to see him in
in
the
the
lineup.
outfield. So
Shane Baz goes against Connolly early tonight. Tomorrow, Chris Bassett against Peyton Toll. And then Thursday afternoon, Trevor Rogers against Brian Bayo. And then the Orioles will hit the road to Toronto. What have you seen, Ross, from Shane Baz his last 3 times? Because he's pitched much, much better.
Yeah. I mean, like we were talking about before with him. He tries to overthrow at times, and he gets his mechanics go out the window. He falls off terrible to the first base side. His arm doesn't catch up, and then he throws the half a breaking ball when he does that. And his fastball is erratic up in the zone, or he'll pull it way inside the left-handers. And it's just a matter of getting his momentum driving toward the home plate. And he just falls off too much at times, and it just affects his stuff and his location, especially.
We talked earlier, Luke, about that game the other night against Toronto where the Orioles had the 5-0 lead. Could you really believe that Craig Albernaz, I would not have sent him back out for the 7th inning. And I think Ross is in
and you
agreement
were
with me.
texting that to me as the 6th inning was going on that
Yeah,
this should be his last inning.
yeah, yeah. I was just curious. Does Albernaz gain any points for you in that he owned up to it rather than giving some BS excuse as to why he left him in there that long?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you attend those pressers a lot more than I do. What did you think?
Well, I wasn't there at the game that night, but I
Right.
watched it afterwards, and I was actually very happy that he owned up to it and quickly in his press conference, admitting that he made a
And I
mistake.
will, in defense of Albernez, Rogers after the game admitted that he was tired around 80 pitches. Like, there's no way Alvarez would have expected that. Like, I know that he hasn't gone seven in a while. Hasn't had those seven ups, so to speak, in a while, but I don't think Alvarez could reasonably have expected that he would be totally out of gas at 80 pitches. Indefensible.
He didn't have a lot of pitches at
Right. I
that
mean,
point.
he was rolling
Yeah.
through those
Yeah.
you know,
Again, the point that Ross makes, though, and both of you are freezing up. I don't know if it's me or not, but
I'm okay over here. How about
the
you,
point
Ross?
that the point
I'm
that
good.
Ross
Okay.
the point that Ross made, though, is how important is it when a guy is struggling the way Rogers had been for the last four times, then the IL stint, and then two more times coming back from the IL. How important is it to leave a game with a good taste in your mouth? And again, this is not a criticism of a rookie manager. I saw Buck Showalter one night do the same thing with a pitcher that had like a 7 ERA, and the guy
Hmm.
pitched like 5 shutout innings, and I'm going, get him the hell out of here. His
Yeah.
ERA is 6 or 7 for a reason, and they
Yeah.
blew up on the guy. You tend to get greedy when somebody's pitching well and can get you through 7 or 8 innings in this day and age.
Well,
Ross,
you're thinking about the bullpen too. Do I
yeah,
want to bring this bullpen in?
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you got to weigh the two things. I mean, Rogers is a guy that's the last year was fantastic. Beginning of the season was okay, and he just got in a rut here. And I think once he give you 6 innings, that most of the starters, if you get 6 innings out of a starter,
got to be
you,
thrilled.
you're having a parade. And here's a guy that really hadn't done anything for since the beginning, the first 2 or 3 games of the season. So obviously, you want to get him out with a little confidence and a good outing under his belt, and then progress from there. And I think there was probably a few factors uh, that you think about and you go, well, I got a bullpen. I might not have the bullpen that I want. The
Well,
guys out there, my quality guys, are not ready or don't want to pitch them too much. There's a lot of things that go into it, but I think in the case with Rogers, get him out,
yeah,
get him out, and here's a guy that's going to help you win, hopefully in the future this year.
I was surprised, and then we got to take a break. But I was surprised that Craig Alvarez didn't have somebody warming between the sixth and the seventh innings so that if it went south, which it did when he gave up the first 2-run homer, that then you come out and get him when it's 4-2, not when it's 5-4 the other way.
You probably get somebody up.
We got to take
You
some. We
know,
got to take a timeout.
yeah.
When we get back, though, Luke, I want to touch on something you've been texting me. Is just how much they miss Ryan Helsley. We'll talk about that when we get back. But right now, I got to talk about the Costas Inn. They've got two great locations, so it's understandable that Rick Dempsey, Oriole Hall of Famer, who's appearing tomorrow night between 6 and 8 at the Timonium location, and he had made an appearance at North Point Boulevard previously, got confused. But he's going to be at Timonium tomorrow night between 6 and 8. Rick Dempsey, Oriole great, will be shaking hands, taking pictures, giving autographs, and telling stories, and
Kissing
maybe
babies.
kissing babies, and maybe singing a song or two.
Yeah.
That'll be tomorrow night at the Costas Inn. Costas Inn, two great locations, North Point Boulevard. That's the location if you're going to have steamed crabs. It's not the location if you want to see Rick Dempsey tomorrow night. That's the Timonium location that's got the same great menu as North Point Boulevard. Open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week, all year long, the Costas Inn. Guys, getting back to things. Luke, you've been texting me, and it's hard to believe when he first went on the IL, Ryan Helsley, it didn't sound like it was that serious. I mean, what was it? An elbow? Is it an elbow
It was
problem?
elbow inflammation.
Elbow inflammation. Those things can always be tricky, and there's no exact time, but it sure didn't seem like it was going to be like a 6-week thing. and
Right.
it's already about 4.5 weeks.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to turn into about six,
Yeah,
seven
it's going
weeks.
to be talk 6 or 7 weeks. That's some bad luck for this team because they really needed him.
Yeah, and it came back to bite in particular in the first two games of that Toronto series, where Rico Garcia has now been bumped to the closer role, and now you're trying to mix and match in the eighth inning with Nunez, who has struggled some, Kittredge, who is still trying to find his way back. I like how he's looked the past couple of times out. So yeah, it's come back to bite him, and hopefully Helsley is back before too long. Because I tell you what, Garcia and Helsley, that's a nice eighth, ninth inning combo.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Ross, um, Anthony Nunez, great story, pitched very effectively for the month of April and played his way in partly out of necessity into more high leverage situations. But I find that Craig Alvarez is leaning on him for high leverage situations as almost like his first resort to get to the ninth inning for Garcia is some ill-placed trust right now. You agree?
Yeah, I mean it's he has to really be locate and get ahead in the count and locate his pitches just like everybody else, but he has to be a little bit I think a little more consistent doing that with his pitches. And um, when you put him in some situation, I think you can overexpose him like you do, like you with the Cano. Cano's got good stuff. He's had good stuff, but he just is unable to, I think, be consistent and repeat it. He'll make some pitches, then he becomes a thrower, and then he elevate a ball, hang a breaking ball. But they're two kind of similar guys in a way. But you got to figure out a time and a place to use them.
Well, and Luke, one of the guys who was so effective last year, and I always say there's a big difference when you come in and pitch in some high leverage, but not closer stuff like Dietrich Enns did last year. But there's a big
I'm
difference.
going to call this your Tanner Scott rule.
Well, but there's a big difference when you're pitching for a crappy team
Hmm.
and the game's on the line than when you're trying to really win games.
Right.
And Dietrich Enns emerged last year when the season was over,
Toast. Yeah.
essentially. It was toast. This year, the season wasn't toast, and he just wasn't getting the job done effectively.
Right. And I believe he went back to Norfolk, if I'm not mistaken.
Accepted an assignment to North.
Yeah, and he'll be back.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he
have no doubt
definitely,
about that.
he definitely will. There's no question. Ross, the club has worked their magic with Albert Suarez, who I understand, and Luke always points it because I'm an old fuddy duddy about options and all this and keeping flexibility.
Hmm.
But I never saw quite the need to move away from Albert Suarez so many times. But yeah, I get the fresh arm thing, but
Yeah,
I'm kind of glad they have him back out there in their pen.
sure. He's a pitcher.
Yeah,
He pitches changing speeds. He knows how to pitch, and
he's
he
like a
knows how to.
right-handed Ross Grimsley.
He probably with better stuff, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, who couldn't
But
you
no,
say that about?
he's a he's able to pitch, and like you said, there's certain guys during a game. There's probably three, four, five situations that come up that's going to determine the outcome of the game. And if you got certain pitchers in there, no matter what part of the game it is, if these guys come through at that time, the more times you do that, the better chance you have of winning, and you have a chance of winning. But you have pitchers that can come in, not necessarily save situations, but get a big out or two with runners in scoring position. They come up with the big pitches and the big outs. That's really important. And you got certain guys that can do that. You got certain guys that can't do it.
Game time tonight is 6:45. Tomorrow night 6:45, and then Thursday afternoon 1:35. And again, the matchups: Boz versus Early tonight at 6:45. Chris Bassett versus Peyton Toll tomorrow night at 6:45, and then Thursday afternoon Trevor Rogers and Bayo at 135. Um, Luke, I mean, Ross, talking about Trevor Rogers, you alluded early in the show to let him get out of the game with a good taste in his mouth. You know, does the impact of giving up those 4 runs on 2 home runs, does that carry over to him, or is there the inverse? Is that correct? In other words, would it have been better for him psychologically to get out of that game with 6 shutout innings?
That would have been, I think that would have been tremendous for him. I mean, yeah, he was tired. He knew he was tired, but he's not gonna he's gonna give me the ball. I'm going back out there.
Yeah,
That's the attitude. That's the attitude you want from every pitcher on your staff. Give me the ball. I don't care how bad I've been or gonna be. Give me the ball. And but I think with being tired, not being able to locate some pitches when you get tired, that's a really important thing to be able to do uh, when you are tired. Is not try to overdo it. When you're tired, you start trying to do more than you're capable of doing. You lose command and you lose stuff. You lose movement, and that's really a tough thing. But you have to learn to pitch tired and when you don't have your best stuff. And I think every pitcher goes through it. But when you learn how to make adjustments on the mound during a game, when you don't have your best stuff, sometimes when you do have your really good stuff, but you can't locate it, and maybe your ball straightens out a little bit, or you spin some breaking balls. But it's man, you gotta know how to make adjustments. But I think getting him out of the game at that particular point, here's a guy you're hopeful is going to help you out as the season progresses, and I think doing everything you can to put confidence back in him. Because I mean, you get knocked around a little bit, you're going to lose some confidence, and things start going bad, and you start thinking negatively, and that's really tough. And you need to hopefully you get a little success that can breed more.
Luke, we've watched Pete Alonso now for just over 2 months. He's going to be here for 5 years. He's halfway through the first year, or near halfway through the first year. What do you see that you like from Pete Alonso?
Well, he hits the ball really hard. I like that. He's played a better first base than was advertised. I like
Yeah,
that.
much better.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the year, he plays every game. I like that. They credit to the organization for pivoting and acquiring Alonso, Ward, and Bassett, guys who post up.
Yeah,
I like that a lot, and that's the best way to be a leader, right? Is to play every single day. Um, I think at the end of the season, he's going to be probably bat around 255, 260, with a
35 bombs.
yeah 35 bombs, about a get on base about 34% of the time and slug about 500. I think that's what
Yeah,
it's going to be, and if he can do that for a few more years, the Orioles will have gotten their money's worth.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the guy hits the ball hard and. He's got tremendous opposite field power. That's probably the thing that I didn't know.
I
Uh,
didn't know either. Yeah,
it's like he hits line drives to the opposite field that just happen to land in the seats.
yeah. I'm amazed when I watch him. He'll hit a ball that any other hitter, I go, well, that's an out. And as I watch the outfielders go back on his balls, I just go, that thing's going to sail out of here, and they just keep sailing. You ever face a hitter quite like him with power that way, Ross?
Several, a lot of them that hurt me.
Too many of them, right, Ross?
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
You pitched around those guys and pitched the people you could get out, or you got out more often than they got on.
yeah.
So yeah, no, it's a somebody hits the ball the other way, and I think I said this earlier. I mean, ball out over the plate, uh, that's dangerous, but you have to come inside, and most pitchers aren't don't come inside enough because they don't have the confidence to come inside because they're afraid they're going to hit the hitter and they'll leave it over the middle end of the plate, and then they pitch away and they don't get it far enough away or down, and the hitter just takes it that way. And once a guy does that, then you have to pound him inside, and you don't see that too much with Alonso. They try to get him out of the way with breaking balls. They'll occasionally come in, but not very often, it doesn't seem like.
All right. Orioles on the road the next 6 games, Boston and Toronto, 3 apiece. They come home for 4 against Seattle, who's playing very good baseball now, the Mariners. Then 3 against San Diego. Old friend Manny Machado visits town. Then they go out to the West Coast or the left coast, Seattle for 3, Dodgers Stadium for 3, and the Angels for 3. That's a total of 22 games between tonight and that Los Angeles Angels series. Luke, how many games you want to win out of those 22?
I don't know,
14,
about 18. What do you think?
14 and 8, 13
14
and
to 8
9,
sounds great.
13 and 9 sound good?
Either of those sounds good.
All right.
That puts you around 500 heading toward July. Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that's a decent goal. Yeah.
All right. Ross, we're only 30 days away from July, and then once July rolls around, it's all trade talk all the time. Uh, do you think the Tigers, who are mired now, well, they're not mired in last place because the Royals are right there with them. You expect Tarek Skubal to move?
That's the word on the street. I don't know. That's one of your guys you can depend on.
Yeah,
And I mean, you're just really you might be able to get a bunch of players, but probably a lot of prospects and stuff. But if you're throwing in the towel, if you're Detroit and trying to rebuild, then you might as well do it.
yeah.
But I just, I don't know what the hell happened to them. They were on the move, and all of a sudden, whammo!
All of a sudden they weren't. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, but yeah, the rumor is that well, the Yankees were involved, the Dodgers were involved. So
And I'm sure the Mets will be involved
oh
before it's
yeah,
all over too. All right.
but
Luke,
I don't know. I wouldn't.
you expect to see him moving, Luke?
Oh, Scooble? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's for sure a goner. I don't
Where
know
do
where
you
he's
think
going to end
where do you
up.
think he ends up?
Wouldn't it be interesting if he ended up in like Tampa Bay, Milwaukee? Like seriously, like a small market for 2 months before moving on to
Yeah.
LA or New York or wherever.
Oh, he could help
That,
a Tampa Bay win a World Series.
oh, no question about it.
He could
That's
help any team that he goes to, provided he's healthy. And we'll
Yeah.
find that
Well,
out in
yeah,
the next couple
that's a
weeks.
great point. He's got to show over the course of several starts that he's healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because he got like an experimental surgery. It seems to have worked, but
Yeah.
he's got to show
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
All right, guys. I think we're going to return next Monday at like about 4 o'clock.
I
Does
thought
that
this
sound
was now
good?
the Tuesday baseball show.
No,
No longer. This is
still the
just,
Monday night. It's
oh,
still,
okay. All right. I
still the
understand. All
Monday
right.
baseball chat. Let's look at 4 o'clock next Monday. All right, guys.
All right.
All right. For Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson, I'm Stan the Fan Charles, and we again thank our friends at the Costas Inn, and our friend Rick Dempsey will be at the Timonium location tomorrow night between 6 and 8, not the North Point Boulevard location, where you can get great steamed crabs nonetheless out there. And we're also brought to you by Warnken Law at 443 Results is the phone number if you've been injured in an accident in Baltimore or anywhere in the state of Maryland. And also the website, warnkenlaw.com. For Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson, I'm Stan the Fan again. Rick Dempsey from 6 to 8 at Timonium Costas. Bye for now.